Okay, by Sri Lord Shri Krishna's grace, we have seen verse number 18 in the last class in detail. And today's class will be further expansion of that shloka 18, and where Krishna is going to dwell more into is between that, the main thing, the main essence in the chapter 8, in the shloka 18 we saw is karmani akarmaha akarma yaha pashyet. Akarmani karma yaf pashyet. Of course, akarmani cha karma yaf pashyet. That is the one who is able to see through the reality in action, in every actions that is being performed, who the akartrutva bhavam, that is the non-doership in all of them. And also in a person who is voluntarily not doing anything, like akarmani, where there is a voluntary, there is also an action. And we said this very important here is when the akarmani cha karma, this akarmani, this akarma, this akarma, or both are polar opposite meaning in the same shloka. So these are the ones where you will see the same shloka, two words mean totally different meaning. In this karmani akarma, this akarma is atman, brahman, shuddha chaitanyam. In this akarmani is a voluntarily a person who is doing inaction, like Arjuna, who said tushnim baba, that I will not fight, and then he says I'll keep quiet. That kind of an inaction. Still there is a doership of his resolution in that, that. And also you see that is what we saw in the last class. And he is a buddhiman. Manusheshu yuktaha krishna karmagat. We saw that one. That's all adjective for the man. And the main thing is that buddhiman. So that buddhi comes from jnanam, right? Buddhi is one which is giving is this instrument by which we get that jnanam. So Bhagavan is going to dwell more into the jnanam, which is what is important in this person who is able to see in karmani akarma. And just quickly grasping in that context from the last class, that is why I straightaway wanted to start, because only then we get the concept of the succeeding shlokas, what we will do today. Again, we just said, if we take just any actions in this world, any actions, I'm talking, you are listening, which we all saw in the last class in detail how this happens. In every action can happen, especially this kind of a voluntary action. I'm not talking about involuntary action. A bird flies, a crow, all those things, a dog barks, all those things are involuntary action. We are not talking about that action. We are talking in this context only about actions which are performed by human beings, by voluntarily, or by devas even. Okay, so for an action to be performed, who can then perform? A person who is alive. A person who is not alive cannot perform the actions, even though so all the instruments are there, but so what is mainly important, that chaitanyam, that jivan. But that jivan, in that jivan, what is the most important thing? Chaitanyam, right? So the chaitanyam in that jivan, which is the atman, also we said he is not the doer. Atma akarta, abhokta, is also not the consumer. So the knowledge to see in the act, so there is an action, but an action can only be performed. So actions can only be performed by a person who is alive, because we are saying voluntary actions, where he is doing some actions and there are some fruits being reaped. A lion cannot sow and reap the fruit, right? That's different. So in this particular actions, and there is some results from the action, just follow that. So that is dependent. So for every action, where does it get this source? Sources from Atma. No actions can be performed independent of Atma. Is the one in every action. Atma is but Atma is not the doer and not the consumer. That's where that knowledge in that. So what happens is, so when we all perform an action as an individual, There is a ownership of I perform, because in this world, in this vyavaharika satyam, that is in this world of reality, you cannot say and do an action and just escape and saying, no, 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 I am a jnani. I can drive on the wrong side, but I am not the karta. No, the law will hold you. We cannot. So every minute, every second we do anybody it could be. Everybody is subjected to a law as well. So there is some ownership as well, whether you like it or not, from a vyavaharika satyam. So a jnani, a buddhiman, how does he perform those actions? That's what we are going to see in the subsequent one as an example. But having said that, the ego, when we say ego, that you need an ego for an action to be performed. When I say ego, it's not that, the garva. That's not the one we are talking about. And identity. When identity, even for a sannyasi, when somebody says that sannyasi is doing the action, even though that sannyasi, that jnani, that ultimate jnani is completely renounced everything, but still we say, oh, he is going to see today Acharya's puja, everything. Right? So that means there is some ownership there. But for the context of that person, how he has, see that the action is, for an action to be performed, if it is performed as a duty, there is no ownership. The problem happens for us by associating in an action from the duty to ownership. So again, in everything you link back. What did Bhagavan says in Karmanya eva adhikarahate? In that adhikara, karmanyavadhikaraste, te, when Bhagavan said that adhikara, he said the adhikara is not the ownership. It is your duty. It is similarly, we go to your office. You are an engineer or a doctor or something in the hospital. That doctor job, is it your ownership or is it a duty? It's a duty. Similarly, this person, if in this world, in every action in that relative context he or she performs, even from as a mother or as a child, as everything, as a duty, with no association of ownership, that I am the mother, I am the daughter, I am the son, I am the father, that I have to do, and this is my ownership. There only the problem comes from the start itself, beginning. So from Krishna's same thing, that karmanyavadhikaraste, if we take, this is for a person, even if it is not a full jnani who has seen that one, to practice in the upasana margam. But for a jnani, what he has done is, he has seen that complete atma jnanam, because that jnanam is what Bhagavan is going to say, is going to dispel that ignorance between the doership and the ownership. Everybody has got doership. When somebody is doing a puja, there is a doership, but there is no ownership. So how to remove the ownership from the doership is that atma jnana. Krishna never said you are the owner of the action. He never wanted us to own. He wanted us only to do it as a duty. But while doing it as a duty, to completely remove, even when performing a duty, there is some ownership. Oh, it is my duty. Right? Because it might go into a cyclic chain as well. So, but until that person gets that atma jnanam, once he has got that atma jnanam, to say that, look, this particular I, as in the name and everything, is that reflected consciousness, which we said as a chidabhasan. So from the chaitanyam, that in a living person, when that chaitanyam reflects into a reflected consciousness, which we called as chidabhasan, the chidabhasan is where we have deposited the ego and then doing the action. But in the chidabhasan, when he's doing the instruments of action, because you only do it to do with the kayaka vachika manasam, in all these things, when he is having the focus as only the atma, and that he has got that knowledge between that one, then automatically the ownership in all these things slowly fades away. That is why Bhagavan said, as he is doing that, he is a krista karma krita, that he has dispelled all the actions in that type of a complete disownership. So he is completely disowned all his, but he's still doing a duty. That's very important. Jnani also is doing the duty. Duty means he is doing it as a yajnartha, loka sangraham. That's the only thing. Ajnani also can use this shloka to do it. He is doing it for moksha sadhanam upasanam. For a jnani also does the same karma akarma pashet as a chitta shuddhi and for jnana prapti. Because by practicing this only, we can get that jnana prapti. And the jnana prapti, when he has become an ultimate jnani, then whatever karmani, whatever karma he is doing, it purely becomes a loka sangraham. And that is what Bhagavan is going to say again in this one, as in this going forward, jnana agni. This is very important. Though I'm jumping into the word straight away, that jnana agni, jnanam is always the agni. And in all Vedanta, because I'm just going straight away because we could be very fresh when we come. Jnana, and this has been all Shankara's Vedanta. He'll always say jnana and karma are enemies. Meaning to say, the person who's got that jnanam, then the karma automatically dispels from him. The minute we associate that upadhi, meaning when I say upadhi means, this our my eyes or my hands or my mind and my buddhi into the action, then the jnanam is not there, because then you become a ajnani. But the minute he has to remove that one and say, look, I am only an agencyship of doing this one, and I am doing such a manner, then with that jnanam, he can never ever have that deha bhavam, that or his this ownership of these instruments. The problem happens when we put the ownership in the instruments of action. When he's completely taking the instruments as instruments they are, then automatically the ownership goes away. So that's what Bhagavan is going to say. So yeah, Srividya, can you repeat after me, please? Yasya sarve samarambhaha.
Yasya sarve samarambhaha. Yasya sarve samarambhaha.
Kama sankalpa varjitaha.
Kama sankalpa varjitaha. Kama sankalpa varjitaha.
Jnanagni dagdha karmanam.
Jnanagni dagdha karmanam.
Tamahuh panditam buddhaha.
Tamahuh panditam buddhaha. Tamahuh panditam buddhaha.
Okay, so in this verse, Bhagavan is talking about that buddhaha panditaha. This Buddha, we need to say this Buddhiman, this Jnani, how does he starts even performing the action? So, even the starting point Bhagavan wants to say. So, what he says, yasya means that Jnaninaha. Of that Jnani, Sarve, meaning to say all the actions, whatever that he may perform in this world, all these actions in this world, where being engaged, samarambhaha. When has it been started though? So for every action to start, because it's a voluntary action, we said, right? So for an action to start, there should be at least some kind of a thing. Okay, I have to start. The start has to come. That first click. That's called prerana. It's called prerana. Prerana means that that particular it's not an instinct. It's a first thought which comes to start. That's very nice. And that is the point which differs between a jnani and ajnani. Like, I can give you a small example of our own Acharya, Sringeri Acharya. Sometimes we ask him some question and he will not say, and he will say, I don't have any prerana for this. Meaning to say, he says, I have nothing to say. So meaning to say, even their thought process, only if it is from that Atma Jnana, from that Bhagavan's Icha, only then they start. So they completely relinquish their ownership in any of them, right from that first start, Samarambaha. That kind of a jnana is what Bhagavan is saying here. So, yasya sarve, so of this person, of whom all these, any action, sarve, sarva karmani, some arambaha, and how are these, the first, even that prerana, for that to start, kama sankalpa varjitaha. There is no desire, many to say desire, that he has got no fruits that he is expecting from that action, because every action, whether you like it or not, will fetch a fruit. No seeds thrown in this world becomes with not giving anything. Every action, whether you like it or not. But in this person's first one, what he has done is he has got no expectations of what that fruits will be or how the fruit should be. That started, and in he started it in the right time and place and everything. So in, and also sankalpa, the sankalpa rahitam, all the your samyak kalpate iti sankalpam, that is, you have already imagined how the fruits. Yes, you are planting a mango seed, so you expecting a mango tree. You won't plant a mango seed thinking it's going to be a banana tree, right? So but in this particular one, what he's saying is the sankalpam is, he has got no imagine, no intentions of how it should be consumed. That's the main important. So the kalpana comes only from, sorry, not our kalpana. The kalpana of the particular action comes from how I should consume. Oh, I will get very nice, this kind of a mango. I can then make, I can do this whatever thing. I can eat so much. I can give it to so many neighbors. You know, that kind of a sankalpam. Sankalpam is all about consumption, not about, certainly the jnani knows when he is planting the seeds, he is going to expect a mango tree and he is going to properly do whatever that needs to be done in the fraction. He has got very much perfection in this action. He is concentrating in the action. He knows what he is doing. He knows what the results of actions will be. But only sankalpa, so varjitaha, he has got devoid of anything. When you say varjitaha, what is that removal of that? Consumption. See our Acharya daily. He does, when he's doing puja, he's doing sankalpa. But his sankalpa, when he says it's all for the loka sangraham, nothing for their personal one. And even that, he would put it, his sankalpa is on Ishvara anugraham. That's all. But nothing that how this should be consumed, or how that it should be for person or for others as well. Sometimes you may think the sankalpa for others, even for others, he has got nothing. He says that the jnani, when he is doing this particular action, his intentions are, let that go to the right direction by your will, O Lord. Something like that. For yajnartat karmana. All for the yajnartam only. So he has got no personal one. So, and some aramba also means that he is still in abiding by the dharma of in the right place, in the right path, in the right time, and etc. So he starts everything with the Vyavaharika Satyam, in abiding by the laws. Not that he is going to start anything. So he's, what Bhagavan wants to say is, this particular jnani, when he's doing the actions, he's doing it so perfect, the actions like me and you or every other ajnani also. But he's got a kama sankalpa varjitaha. And how does that kama sankalpa varjanam happens? How does that happens? Because he has got the jnana agni. That jnana agni, jnana agni is the one in which he is, because that jnana agni is equal to akarma yaha pashet. Because that jnana agni, he has got that atma jnanam. That atma jnanam, with that atma jnanam, he knows that when I'm doing, I am not the doer, but I am just I'm just an agent for doing this particular action, and nothing more that this instrument that I have got is, as an, I'm going to just execute it. I'm just an executor, but I am not a doer really for any motion. And that particular jnanam comes completely, because for him that, yeah, he doesn't have to even say that, look, I'm not the doer, I'm not the doer. It's so automatic because that jnanam, once you see, once you got a jnanam in particular while doing an action, you don't have to say, like, say, for example, a lot of you are very good, say, for good in cooking, I don't know. But the minute you go in the morning, you don't have to know how you're going to do your thing. It just goes, that jnanam is there, you are doing automatically. Only like person like me, I have to open that menu and then look at what all I have to do. But for you, the jnanam is there. It's such an automatic thing. You don't have to do in that action. But same thing for the jnani, he doesn't have to do this particular one to say, look, I am not the karta, only Atma is the karta, because his focus is always on the Atman. So that jnanam is the one by which he is doing it. And every action we said, jnanagni dagda karmanam. Okay, it says it burns the action, he says. So how can you burn an action? You cannot burn an action, right? Actions are indestructible in this world. You do something, the action, the minute the first samarambaha, that in the prerana comes, the action is there. You cannot kill an action. Action is indestructible. So what does Krishna means by dagda karmanam? So what he really means is, every action as you do, there is I told you, for example, we plant a tree, the tree, whether you sow the seed or not, the tree will also come and plant another seed or a flower through something, it will again generate. The one action so actions are regressive. You do one action, but that will multiply into multiple actions, whether it be a reaction or that action will multiply into some other direction, somebody else. So actions are pervasive. Actions have got an effect, whether you like it or not. That you sow a seed with an action, and that action which comes like a flower tree multiplies some more seeds. But for this jnani, what happens is, because he has not put the bijam with that akar through the bhavam, the seeds are degerminated. The seeds are degerminated, so that the seeds will never ever give anything for that to come back to him, because the sankalpa is not there. So that's why dagda karmanam is equal to dagda seeds in the karmanam, so that he is not going to either give, because the karma is either going to give that person who is sowing it either as a punyam or a papam. Right? And because he has done that jnana agni, it neither gives him the punyam nor the papam. That's what he means by that. Because of the jnanagni, it neither gives him a punyam or papam, because the jnani does not need any more punyam and papam. He has become a jnani. Why does he need it? So, because once you have that punyam or papam, you have to be born again. The whole idea of moksha is we not to be born again. So this jnanam, so the jnana has got that power to give that moksha, which is also in this particular one while performing the duty. Jnanagni dakta karmanam tam, that particular person, yasya, that particular person, buddhaha, here buddhaha means the realized other jnani, panditam ahuhu, that he is indeed another jnani, that pandita ahuhu, they then reveal. So this kind of a person who is able to do this by degerminating the seeds while performing in actions, so that it does not feature any punyam or papam. So, but where does the punyam and papam goes? Because we did say it will feature fruits, that Bhagavan will give it. That is why it's a loka sangraham. It's a loka sangraham, not for him. So the way he has burnt the seeds is in the way that he should not get it. But but that action will give beautiful seeds for the persons that it is supposed to go. Only from his perspective, there is no punyam or papam. Understand? So that's what is means by here. The Jnanagni there. Okay, let's go to the next one. Nalini ji, you want to chant after me if you don't mind?
Yes, Mama.
Okay. Okay. Tyaktva karma phala sangam
त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गम्
Once more, please. Yeah.
त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गम्
Nityatृप्तो nirashrayah
नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः
कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि
कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि
नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः.
नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः.
Okay. Now, from this particular chapter, also we introduce some new terminologies. Now, in normally, when we say sannyasi, Bhagavad Gita, the whole thing is about karma yoga, the Nishkama karma yoga. And Arjuna keeps on saying from the start, we should not forget, Arjuna always wanted to become a sannyasi. He said, I will rather go and beg and go as a sannyasi, but I don't want to fight the war. But what Krishna told him was, so the whole of Gita is not asking somebody to go for a, and we did see there's one called ashrama sannyasi, that is sannyasi taking it as a particular ashram by the proper means. Now in this one, I am going to introduce you a terminology of two types of sannyasis. The one sannyasi who, like an ashrama sannyasi, who takes that, we got different type of sannyasis, as you know, we've got dandi sannyasi, all those sannyasis who properly take it, like, with the saffron cloth, and they have dedicated the life. They do not have any kind of belonging to themselves. They have completely relinquished all actions as well, who have relinquished all duties. They are called, vividisha sannyasi. They are called vividisha sannyasi. Vivida means murayaga. Vidisha sannyasi means murayaga sannyasam eduthavar in Tamil. Or one who has taken the sannyasam in the relative context. Okay, he could have taken it from when he was a brahmachari, like most of the Shankaracharya, or for example, a lot of the the Vaishnava sannyasis, they can take after grahasthasma. That's not matter. But they have taken a complete ashrama sannyasa. They are called vividisha sannyasi. Now, what Krishna introduced through in this particular one, we call it what's called vidvat sannyasi. Now, vidvat sannyasi is a sannyasi who could be going 9 to 5, who is wearing a pant and shirt. From his external attire, you can never make out anything. But he has got that jnanagni, the Atma Jnanam, by the Krishna's teaching, that he is not only a karma yogi, he has also become a jnani. And he has not taken any ashrama sannyasam. And such people are called vidvat sannyasi. Because sannyasam, end of the day, is not in that kashaya vastram or in that external thing or in the dandam and everything. It's internal, completely internalized. Right? So, a vividisha sannyasi in turn is also a vidvat sannyasi. Keep that very much in mind. Vividisha sannyasi is a vividisha sannyasi is only from differentiating with both of them, we are saying. Vividisha, vidvat sannyasam is the must for every sannyasi or for everyone. What Bhagavad Gita teaches in this particular one, jnana karma sannyasam, we say, right? So we have slowly come from Krishna's teaching into the jnanam. What Bhagavan is jnana karma, he is also told about karmani akarma. And now he is slowly coming into sannyasam. What he says by jnana karma sannyasam, this sannyasam is called vidvat sannyasa. So what Krishna is teaching in jnana karma sannyasa, this particular chapter, is a vidvat sannyasam, meaning to say, he's telling Arjuna, you don't need to relinquish this one. You can still fight this war as a kshatriya, and still you can be a sannyasi by having this jnanam. And with that jnanam, your karmanam, everything you will be able to burn these particular actions of those fruits what you are afraid of, papamar punyam, and that is what Krishna is administering in this particular Gita, full Gita Shastras. Even when you come to 18th chapter, Arjuna will again ask, what is the difference between sannyasam and tyagam and etc. The next chapter is all about sannyasam. There you will again, Bhagavan will always differentiate between these two types of sannyasam. So we said Krishna, and in Gita, what he's teaching is about vidvat sannyasam. Okay, and he could be anything. He could be the attire he wears or the job he does. The thing is completely externally is irrelevant. So that keeping that vidvat sannyasi in mind, this shloka goes. So what he says is karma and two things again, two difference. For a vidvat sannyasi, there is no karma tyagam. Whereas for a vividisha sannyasi, he is a sarva karma parityagam. He has relinquished all duties. He has got no duty as a father, mother, son, office goer, because he does not need, because he has dedicated his livelihood like to that one. Whereas for a vidvat sannyasi, he has not done that. He still has got this duty as if appearing externally. But what he does is karma pala asangam. Sorry, karma pala asangam nirash tyaktva. So he has completely removed his attachment from the karma pala, which is what we said in the previous sloka when we said the seeds, right? The karma pala is that fruits, meaning to say, for fruit means that seeds what he's sowing, in that sangam, that any attachment for the fruits that he may need to consume, tyaktva, having relinquished. There is no ownership of the action. He is only doing it as a dutiful action or as for a loka sangraham. So karma pala sangam tyaktva, having relinquished right from the start, nirashrayaha. He is not dependent upon anything in the fruit or even in the action. That, it does not mean that he is because a lot of us sometimes are also dependent on the actions also. So he is neither dependent on the action or the fruits, but he is engaged. That nirashraya. And where is the ashraya? Where is his ashramanam? In the atmajnanam. Because for us, that atmajnanam, because we are not in that ashrayam, that is where the ownership comes. And how can we get that one? By repeatedly getting this jnanam, shrutva, then practicing that karma. That is the only way to get the jnanam ripened. So nirashrayaha and nitya triptaha, and ever content, because his contentment is not from the action or the fruits in the atma triptaha. So nitya triptaha means atma triptaha, atma jnana triptaha, atma jnana triptaha. That is why he says saha, meaning to say yaha. Yaha karma pala sanktam tyaktva nirasha nitya triptaha saha. That vidvat sannyasi, saha is vidvat sannyasi, karmani, in action, abhipravrittaha api. Abhipravrittaha means for externally is completely engaged. He probably works 16 hours a day. And he is doing like anybody else. Maybe he's a truck driver. Maybe he's doing, he's driving a truck from Punjab to somewhere, whatever it is. But he could be in anything, or he could be a kind of a god somewhere, whatever, any job. He is, he's engaged in action. He's not relinquish any of the action. That's why he put abhipravrittaha. Very strong, he said. Just not pravriti. Because, when these terminologies, people you are on Vedanta, there is one called pravriti margam and nivriti margam. A lot of things you might have heard about, right? So pravriti margam means you are doing some actions for which there will be some things that you may need to own, right? And that it is required because you have to do the job. So, you do want some cloth, you do want some wardrobe, something to wear. And so he's in the Pravritti Margam. But we know again, I'm comparing Vividisha Sannyasi in a Nivritti Margam. He does not have any wardrobe. Even that Kasha Ambaram, yeah, if somebody gives, he has it. He does not even want anything. That is a Vividisha Sannyasi. But whereas a Vidvat Sannyasi, he still is in the Pravritti Margam. That's why Pravrittopi. So he has some basic requirements that he has to perform the action. So that is why Karmani Abhipravrittopi. That is in a pravritti margam. Maybe he's doing and earning this food for his children or for his mother or his anybody. It could be anything. So he's still in that, and he's doing this duty as if whatever it has to be done. So he's engaged. So what Krishna is again saying is, this kind of a sannyasam, this kind of a thing is what is Krishna's teaching is for 99.99% of the people, that through this particular Gita he keeps on stressing about. So karmani abhipravritta api. Kinchit, not even the slightest amount, kinchiti eva na karoti. So 9, 10, 11, 12, kinchiti eva na karoti. He actually does not do any one action because of the akartrutva bhavam. He does not do, is not the doer in one iota of a sense of a doership at all. So that is why he's seen that akarma, right? Because he has seen that akarma, and from that akarma bhavam, he's a naiva kanchit, kinchitapi na eva na karoti. So he is really not a doer. That's what it is. But he's doing karma, because whenever there is a karma, there is a karta and everything, but not from that. What Krishna says in 9, 10, 11, 12 is really from a true sense of an executorship. He does not do anything at all, really, because he's in akartata bhavam. Now, the verse number 21 and 22 will be more about the Vividisha Sannyasi. Okay, so just to distinguish, that is why I have to introduce, otherwise I would not have introduced this. Now from verse number 20, so there is another Nalini. Yes, you want to chant after me? Or is it
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Namaskaram, sir. Namaskaram.
Namaskar. Okay.
Yes.
Nirashiryata chittatma
निराशीर्यत चिन्तात्मा निराशीर्यत चिन्तात्मा
त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रहः
त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रहः त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रहः
शारीरं केवलं कर्म
शारीरं केवलं कर्म शारीरं केवलं कर्म
कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्
कुर्वनाप्नोति किर्विषम्. Sir, repeat it, sir.
Kurvan, because there are two in, right? Kurvannapnoti kilbisham.
Kurvannapnoti kilvisham.
Very good.
Kurvannapnoti kilvisham.
Very good, very good, very good. So here, how did we recognize this? Because I'm giving you the clue so that you know why. Why I'm saying this is Vividisha? Because this word Tyakta Sarva Parigraha. Yes, Tyakta Sarva Parigraha. Sarva Parigraha means Sarva Parigraha Sannyasi. So this sannyasi, because once you have done this sannyasi, so what Krishna is saying, this Jnana Agni is common to every sannyasi. That Jnana Agni is what is very important, that Atma Jnanam. So he is saying, even for Arjuna, even from Ashrama sannyasi, who is a Yata Chittatma. Yata itself means Yati, means like a sannyasi, but Yata really means one who was doing that Yatnam, meaning to say, who is doing that complete control. But here, Yata Chitta Atma, meaning to say, his mind and organs and buddhi, everything is on his control. Is a completely in that self-controlled, and at the same time, that person has relinquished Takta Sarva Parigraha Sannyasi. He has renounced just not only the ownership from the actions, he has renounced the actions also. He does not need to do any duties really in this world. From the worldly context, he has got no duty as a father, son, or mother, daughter, nothing. He or she has got no duty really. He can just be sitting under a tree and he could be a sannyasi. That kind of a Tyakta Sarva Parigraha. From his perfection, from the Tyakta Sarva Parigraha, that kind of a sannyasi, Nirashihi. Of course, he has got no desires in this world or anything, even for doing any actions. So he has got a completely devoid of any action, any desire. Nirashihi. How is he? Kevalam shariram karma. Kevalam shariram karma means he is just doing only the very minimal actions for the sustenance of the body. That also, if he wishes. Sometimes he remains without even eating, sometimes even remain without bathing. But if it requires, he does it as it requires. That's all. And the shariram, and also involuntarily, whatever the shariram does the action, only that performs. But this person has completely cut off from the external world, and only his shariram, that for that performance of the sustenance of the life, he may do some actions, and that could be very, 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 very basic. That what is this person is? This is a vividisha sannyasi. Kevalam shariram karma kurvan. Karma kurvan. So kurvan is in Shatrupatam. That doing that only very basic actions of actions that required for the sustenance of the body, because the jivan is there. Okay, because he can't do atmahati dosham, so he's just doing only the very basic sustenance of that body. Kilbisham na apnoti. Kilbisham means that there is no. Kilbisham means in this normally means a sin. Okay, Kilbisham means sin, but in this one we take it as a papam and punyam. Because why that comes is, oh, because he's not doing a duty. Will he incur any sin because he has not done any rightful duty? No, because this person is a Tyakta Sarva Parigraha. By Kayaka Vachaka Manasam, he has taken that and he really relinquished it. And for that person too, he has got no papam or punyam. Kilbisham na apnoti. Here we said na kinchit na karoti. Here kinchit na kilbisham na apnoti. Same meaning. But here is for a vividisha sannyasi. And furthermore, what he does, so Kalpana ji, can you chant after me?
Yeah.
Yadricha labha santushtaha.
Yadricha labha santushtaha. Yadricha labha santushtaha.
Dvantvatito vimatsaraha.
Dvandvatito vimatsaraha. Dvandvatito vimatsaraha.
Samasiddhava siddhau cha.
Samasiddhava siddhau.
Samasiddhava.
Samasiddhava siddhau cha. Samasiddhava siddhau cha.
Very good. Kritva pina nibhadhyate.
Kritvapi na nibhadyate. Kritvapi na nibhadyate.
Very good. So, this particular sannyasi, this Vividisha sannyasi, what Bhagavan is saying is, number 1, 2, 3, Yat Icha Labha Santushtaha. This Yad Icha is what in Tamil became Yatechaya. Yatechaya. That Yad Icha became Yatechaya. Yad Icha Labha Santushtaha. Whatever that he can get on that particular, for the Shariram Kevalam Karma Kurvan, for the Shariram, whatever that, whose Icha, this Yad Icha is equal to Bhagavan's Icha, or the Prakriti, whatever that gives the Icha. But ultimately that is Bhagavan's Icha. So Yad Icha Labha Santushtaha, with that he is very happy. Typically, like that, sannyasi, that what they say is Karatala Bhikshaha, Tarutala Vasaha. You might have seen in Bhaja Govindam. So Karatala Bhikshaha, there is this particular sannyasi, when they go for Bhiksha, Karatala means in that one hand only they can take. one hand only once they can take. And they have to take, and they close their eyes. And I believe, a lot of those days, these sannyasis, Karatala Bhiksha sannyasis, they will go to only one house in that particular street. They cannot go to more than 3 houses or something like that. Okay. And that person, he has to close the eyes and say, Bhavati Bhikshan Dehi. At that time, whatever falls on the hand, and that's all he has to eat. They are that kind of a person. And in the 3 houses, if he did not get, there is nothing for him. Or in that person, only one small thing falls, one small fruit, that's all he can have. And so that is that kind of a yadicha labha santushtaha. That kind of a Karatala Bhiksha sannyasi. That's why these are all about Karatala Bhiksha sannyasi. Is Bhiksha. And also, imagine when he is going and imagine even from that sannyasi thing, he is going and begging alms. At that time, what about his ego? Like, oh God, I'm going and begging. I'm supposed to be this thing. Is there any abhimanam in that one? No. But he could be the king of the whole world. But he has gone. I'll tell you one small story. This is about this particular place is very nice to say that. There was one big great jnani in Tamil Nadu called Pattinathar. That Pattinathar, he was a very, very rich merchant. Very rich merchant that, he used to go and get jewels. And he was such a rich merchant. He was probably the richest person in that kingdom, whatever kingdom it was. So whenever he will go overseas, and he used to go on the ships, and he used to get all the riches, he will go to the king and he'll say, King, I've got all these jewels and all. What do you want? Because the first person to sell in the kingdom is the king. And the king also will receive him, give him small places, and he's going to see what he has got jewels, and then he will buy from him. So he's kind of equal to the king in the Sabha. So Pattinathar kept, but he's a very nice, very spiritual oriented person. One fine morning, over a period of time, he just relinquished everything, like a sarva parigraha tyagaha, like this takta sarva parigraha, and he went into like a Karatala Bhiksha sannyasi, and he was sitting outside the temple with only one small pot, whatever he could get. So the king one day was going through the temple, walking around with his usual pomp and everything, and he's seeing Pattinathar sitting in the floor with only one small clad dress worn, and he's sitting like a beggar. And he's asking him, you were Pattinathar, whatever his previous name was, you were such a great merchant, you were such a rich man, and you are now sitting here like a beggar. How are you happy? Because Labha Santushta, that what is your happiness in this? So I'll tell you what he told in Tamil, and then I will give you. So Pattinathar says, Andru un sabayil நீர் அமர நான் நிற்க இன்று என் சபையில் நீர் நிற்க நான் அமர்கிறேன் அதுதான் எனக்கு கிட்டியது. He says, when I came to your kingdom, you were sitting as a king and I was standing and I was selling things, though I was a big merchant. But here in this Bhagavan's Sabha, I am sitting and you are standing. That is what I have got. Indirectly, he said, I have even become richer than before. Okay, so that is the kind of the santushtaha. That's the kind of happiness they get because they found the happiness in their atma jnanam. Santushtaha. That's why I wanted to give that small story. Yadicha labha santushtaha. And because of that, vimatsaraha. Vimatsaraha. Matsarya means, envy. Paramai. Vimatsaraha. He has got no envy on anything or anybody or even anything. He is completely devoid of no, he has got because though nirvairaha. He has got no enemy, no envy, or has got no casting of somebody who has got more or less. Vimatsaraha. Dvantva atitaha. Dvantva is likes and dislike, heat and cold, and pleasure and pain. All of them, atitaha. He has gone behind these dualities in nature on this world by which all are subjected to. There is no one, but this person is completely. See, this is the difference between the Vidvat Sannyasi, Vividisha Sannyasi. The Vividisha Sannyasi is, yes, he can be a Dvantva Atitaha. But say Vidvat Sannyasi, Karmanabi Pravrittopi, he may need a sweater, he may need a jacket because of the work, he may have it. He's not a Yaktasara Parigraha. So that's where these words will give you the difference. So this person is a Dvantva Atitaha. And he does not even prepare something for the winter days or a hot day. Just he is just Tarutala Vasaha, that he will just stay wherever he can get to stay. Dvantva Atitaha, sorry, 2-5 has come here. Siddhava Siddhav. That is Siddhav. Siddhav means in what that he can, whatever that materializes, and Asiddhav. That did not. So this is Ayadi Sandhi. Siddhav. Siddhav said Aya, they say in the Sanskrit Ayati Sandhi. This is Ayati Sandhi. Siddhava Siddhav. Okay, so Siddhav plus Asiddhav becomes Siddhava Siddhav. So in this, whether whatever that materializes or whatever this particular action or whatever they do that does not materializes, okay, cha in all these things, cha sama kritvapi. Sama kritvapi. Okay, that he has got a sama chitta kritvapi. So though he has got that equanimity poised in this one. Is equanimity in whether somebody is manam or avamanam, or whether that day he gets that bhiksha or he doesn't get the bhiksha, but he is equal in that sama, because that samatva buddhi, because of that atma tripti, sama kritva api, because he has got that samatva buddhi in all of them, api na nibadhyate, so he does not get any attachment in any of this, whether in the action or in inaction. So this 21-22 pertain to the Vividisha Sannyasi, okay, or Ashrama Sannyasi in a very simple term. Okay. Yatish Bhaiya, you want to chant after me? Can I unmute you?
Yes,
okay. Okay. Gata Sangasya Muktasya.
Gata Sangasya Muktasya. Gata Sangasya Muktasya.
Jnanavastita Chetasaha.
Jnanavastita Chetasaha. Jnanavastita Chetasaha.
Yajnaya Charatah Karma.
Yajnaya Charata Karma. Yajnaya Charata Karma.
Samagram Praviliyate.
Samagram Praviliyate. Samagram Praviliyate.
Very good, very good. So now Bhagavan is joining both the sannyasis. That is taking from an aspect of an ashrama sannyasi or from a karma yogi sannyasi or a jnani. Okay, from both of them, now he is combining the essence of this particular actions as how they do this akartritvam into this particular verse 23. Okay, so again from the karmani we saw yesterday, and then he said that particular karmani, that akarma pashyam, that drishyamanam, how does it happen? Because of the jnanagni, and that jnanagni with which a jnani who could be, verse number 20 was for a, because he is a karmani abhipravritaha, so that is what we called as vidvat sannyasi. Then 21-22 was for Vividisha Sannyasi, and this 23 is for combining both of them. What? Because here he says, Gata Sangasya Muktasya. Okay, Gata Sangasya. Here Sangasya Muktasya, one who has completely liberated person. Muktasya, of liberated person from what? Gata Sangasya, from the attachment into the actions or the fruits. So what Bhagavan says is, from the aspect of both a person who is engaged in the world or from the person who is completely disengaged from the world, from both of their aspect, there is the asangam. That is, there is the sangam became gataha. meaning to say the attachments have been dropped. The attachments have been dropped muktasya of these two persons because the jnana avastita chetasaha, because of the jnana avastita chetasaha, like a sthita prajnaha. Jnana avastita chetasaha is equal to sthita prajnaha, because the jnanam is the one. So again and again, it is a knowledge which is able to dispel the attachments, not anything else. So that Chidabhasan, as we said again, that ego in that one, because in that ego also, that jnanam, once it is resplendent completely, that he is able to see the Atman in the Chidabhasan and not the instruments which is doing the actions, then he knows, okay, now from this aspect, whatever that is being done, it is just is being done as an executor, because I have got this jivan that is breathing and that this is doing. But apart from that, I have got it's only the Atma which is making this happen, and I am not going to put my identity in the reflected instruments or reflected consciousness or in the instruments. So that kind of a jnana avastita chetasaha, okay, that for him, so these are the gata sankasya muktasya, and because of that, his any attachment actions or the fruits has got completely relinquished muktasya. But how does he does the actions again for both of them? Yajnaya charataha charataha. Yajnaya charataha, same thing in we saw in chapter number 3. Yajnartat karmanan yatra. That yajnaya, this yajnaya is equal to by Vishnu, yajnam by Vishnuhu. Meaning to say that it is everything is being done by the Ishvara, Ishvara Arpanam. Very simple. Ishvara Arpanam charataha. Ishvara Arpanam charataha. Oh Ishvara, you are engaging me in from a person. So it is the same thing for both the jnani as well, from a realized Vidvat Sanya, Vividisha Sanya also. When they say, oh, I have got no prerana, it is that uttara from that Ishvara. So even their executionship is directly from them. So this yajnaya charataha, and so the charataha, that their engagement is always with that one in the focus of yajnaya. Karma samagram karma praviliyate. Samagram karma means of all the actions they are doing. Okay, praviliyate means prakrishena viliyate. They get merged into this world, okay, as a thing that is to be done for the external world, and that completely does not bind them back, and that get dissolved. In this one, what Krishna will say from next class onwards, I'm just giving a small introduction before. So there is a person who is doing the this from a jnani. Okay, so there is a doer from a vyavaharika. From you look at this person, whether he's a a sannyasi, vidisha, or vidvat, or this particular jnani. So there is a doer. Okay, he has got no doership in him, but I am seeing there is a doer and there are some actions being performed, and the actions are going to fetch some fruits, or that is going to have some resultant effect. So there is a resultant effect of this. And in all these things, then if you say that this person has got complete detachment, then what happens to these particular actions and the fruits? How does they fall in this place in this world? That Bhagavan says, they also, when he says praviliyate, he is going to say they are also nothing but the same Brahman. So the doer is also Brahman, the actions are also Brahman, the tree is also Brahman, and the fruits that come is also is Brahman. So that is what he says, praviliyate. They all merge into one, and nothing but there is that Atman or the Brahman. And that's what Krishna is going to expand from the subsequent verse, which we'll see from the next class. And as how this same Brahman is the, so in everything when there is Brahman, when they have such a wholesome knowledge of that, where is the identity of me, or to whom I am talking to, or to whom that person is doing the action to, or in the world, there is any relation at all. But he is very conscious of all the relations in this world. But they all fall in the perspective of that particular action, not from his internal perspective. So that's what Krishna is going to expand further from the subsequent sloka. This praviliyate, that is samagram karma praviliyate, that how this all the actions get sublimed and submerged as one particular entity and dissolved in this world, in this whole jagat, or in this whole creation, is what Krishna will expand here with more examples, and also with lot of type of actions which he will put it into every yajna, and same thing as a jnana agni and everything. So with that I will finish the class today. Okay. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Sambhade Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yogo Nama Chaturtho Dhyayah Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. So that's why this Jnana Karma Sannyasa, that sannyasa is what we saw a little bit more, and we saw the Jnana Karma is in that chapter shloka 18. So that's where this whole key factor is, this chapter, but we will see more expansion of the yoga karma, the yoga also of that one in this from subsequent classes. Okay. Okay. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Atha Gita Mahatmyam Dharavacha Bhagavan Parameshana Bhakti Ravya Vicharini Prarabdham Bhujyamanasya